to have you all here.
مرحبا معاليكي، كيف حالك أزول؟
أهلا أمير، كيف حالك؟ اشتقنا لك أمير.
Same here. Inshallah we'll connect in a few weeks hopefully.
Yeah, we will. It has been hectic, I think, for everyone.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum.
Dr. Rana, wa alaikum salam. How are you?
Alaikum salam, rahmatullah.
Welcome everyone. Ahlan wa sahlan for everybody. I apologize for being late. We were in another session that just ended about redefining education. So welcome everybody. We are very happy to have our panelists today. But before we begin, I think there's a video that we will watch, right? And to introduce Catalyzing Change Week and the MENA region in particular.
Catalyst 2030 is a movement of social entrepreneurs and innovators embracing collective action to achieve the SDGs by the deadline of 2030. Our 1,500 members are active in 197 countries. By emphasizing collaborations, Catalyst 2030 is leveraging the power of the collective to accelerate real change in the lives of billions of people around the globe. What do our members say about Catalyst?
Catalyst 2030 is an invaluable global community of impact entrepreneurs.
Our relationship with Catalyst 2030 has really taught us the power of co-creation.
Join Catalyst 2030 and network, bond, and collaborate with our family members.
And I like the spirit of bringing change makers together to share and learn from each other.
Catalyst really understands the transformative nature of collaboration.
It's also a platform that can give us new tools and resources.
Catalyst 2030 has put my work on steroids.
But most importantly, to come up with solutions that are practical, ways where we can really make things happen, because social entrepreneurs are doers.
Are you a catalyst? Join us to achieve the SDGs.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you very much. Yes, ahlan wa sahlan. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We're here in Jordan. Hopefully, we have people from Jordan and people from outside of Jordan. This session will be recorded as a future reference for understanding the ecosystem of Jordan, which has also a Catalyst chapter in Jordan to help promote social entrepreneurship, not just in Jordan, but across the Arab region, and how we can learn from each other globally all across the world. So this session is kind of like a springboard of trying to understand what's happening on the ground, understanding the history, imagining a new future, and what will it take to create that new future, to promote social entrepreneurship in Jordan and the region, so that we can work on achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. And beyond that, because even if we achieve these Sustainable Development Goals, new goals will be created because of new situations and new circumstances. So this is an ongoing process, an iterative process, an evolutionary process that will always happen so long as human beings exist on this earth. So I'm very glad and honored to have our two panelists today with us. We have Her Excellency Nesrine Barakat. Currently, she is the CEO of the Jordan Strategy Forum. And by the way, there are so many good things I'm hearing from different people about the Jordan Strategy Forum in the past and now. So we're really excited to learn more about that and how it can inform and help and support social entrepreneurship going forward. She was previously the founder and managing director of 2XL Consulting, which is an innovative boutique company that was established in 2006 to provide evidence-based services in the fields of strategic planning, socioeconomic development, and recovery, as well as monitoring and evaluation. Mrs. Barakat has more than 25 years of professional experience in the areas of economic and social development, working with government, international organizations, civil society, and the private sector in Jordan. Hence, a wonderful multi-sectorial bridge maker that Nesrine is. She is currently a member of the Central Bank of Jordan Board of Directors and a member of the Board of Trustees of Jordan's National Center for Human Rights. Earlier, she served as Minister of Social Development, Minister of Public Sector Development, and General Director of the National Aid Fund. She was also a City Council member of Greater Amman Municipality. Mrs. Barakat was awarded the Forbes 200 Most Powerful Arab Women in 2014. She holds an MBA degree from Durham University Business School in the UK and a bachelor's degree in computer science from the University of Jordan. Welcome, Mrs. Nasreen Barakat. We're so glad to have you with us and to learn and be enriched by your experience. We also have with us Mr. Amir Shhade. Amir has been involved in both the corporate and humanitarian worlds ever since his early 20s, establishing various businesses and NGOs. Again, another bridge between private and civil society. This unique combination adds much value to the work done by Amir, allowing insight onto various perspectives. The NGOs managed by Amir focuses on enhancing society on different levels, from youth empowerment, intercultural understanding and bridging, to fighting poverty through financial support. For the humanitarian world, Amir is the founder and director of YARA, which is an abbreviation of Youth Association for Reality and Awareness, an NPO which was established, an NGO which was established in 2010 when Amir was only 24 years old. So now we know how old you are. YARA has conducted dozens of campaigns, from securing education for out-of-school children, preserving the environment, empowering both youth and women, holding interfaith and interreligious conferences, as well as youth capacity building through inspirational speeches and workshops. Since 2014, Amir has been the country chair of Jordan for Global Dignity, an organization that focuses on everyone's dignity to be recognized. And in 2020, Amir co-founded Tadamun, which is an online platform that helps the unfortunate by eliminating the fragmentation of random cases that are unverified of poverty or need, and in turn empowers donors to confidently support and quickly help the needy with the click of a button on a smartphone. And of course, Amir, coming from the private sector, has a lot of experience. He joined Hertz and led quality assurance for all branches in Jordan. And he was a partner and held the position of chief. Could please people mute? Zayad, if you could mute everyone from your side. That would be good. And Amir joined the SciTech, Semantic Intelligent Technologies, as Director of Operations, which is a tech company that builds products and solutions that disrupt and transform traditional business models into the new age. So I'll stop there. Thank you very much. We had two other panelists, but unfortunately, they were not able to attend. But I think we have a fabulous panelist here to start this conversation. All right, so now I'm going to begin by inviting Nasreen, if you don't mind, I call you Nasreen, to give us an overview of the landscape of Jordan in terms of the challenges we face as a country, having held multiple ministerial positions and worked with government and private sector and civic society. What is the what is the status of Jordan in relation to the Sustainable Development Goals? Where are we? How much are we lagging behind? You're on mute, Ms.
Yes. Thank you so much, Rena. Thank you for the introduction and for this opportunity. Yes, where we are from the SDG, actually, it's a very interesting question. If you look at Jordan compared to other countries with a different SDG, you would see that we are performing somehow well and on track. If we look at the Department of Statistics, which established actually a monitoring unit to monitor the performance of Jordan on the various SDGs, you will see that the SDGs has been taken into consideration from the different relevant entities within their own strategies, and accordingly it's a target that need to be achieved and has been planned for in their various strategies to implement and achieve the goals. Nevertheless, I think that previous couple of years, which we are still in, due to the COVID-19, has delayed not only Jordan, but many other countries in achieving the SDGs or a certain goals of the SDGs. Specifically, I would say, The goals that are relevant to poverty or zero hunger, the ones in relation to employment, and definitely the one in relation to women empowerment. I think these at least were affected harshly by the pandemic, and I think countries, as we will be seeing, they are in a way maybe in a risk of lagging behind. I would say maybe in a risk of lagging behind because it depends on who is taking these risks into consideration and accordingly adjusting the planning towards overcoming such risks. So if we, you asked me as well to talk about the environment here in Jordan, maybe. It's been the 2 years that we passed and we are still in, I think. We are recovering now. But Jordan has been, like any other country, hit hard by the pandemic. Maybe Jordan's situation wasn't as easy because when the pandemic came, Jordan was already suffering and from different challenges. The unemployment was a big challenge in Jordan, and it has increased lately to reach over 24% and over 74% when it comes to youth in specific. Also, the poverty, which is again, it increased harshly as the earlier indicators that Jordan is monitoring is actually showing so. Also, Jordan, in its case, similar to the case of many other countries, where they had to invest more money into certain areas in order to combat the social effect from the pandemic and the economic effect as well. So they had to take a lot of measures and spend more than it was expected to combat the pandemic effect on the country. This has also affected the debt of Jordan, where it is still in the increasing trend line, let's say, which is alarming and
You're on mute, Nisreen.
Well, yeah, I think they are trying to mute the other participants, and let me unmute. Okay. This is from the side, if we look at it from the economic side. If we look at it from the health side, I think Jordan did relatively very well when it comes to vaccination and when it comes to trying to minimize the spread of the pandemic. Compared to other countries, Jordan was good in controlling at least the effect. And also, okay. Also in immuning the population regardless of nationality and so on. So the country really took the human rights perspective, which I would say, I have to say that in everything, in every walk of life in Jordan, the human rights side is taken fully into consideration. Jordan did well with that aspect. So this is in a nutshell. I'm more than ready to delve into more details of the economic situation. I think just to conclude on this introduction, I think the challenges ahead of us are many, and it requires a lot of work, collective work, among the different sectors, whether the public sector or the private sector or the civil society or social entrepreneurs like your good selves. We will not be able to move ahead and embark into an economic growth without having the collective efforts from everyone. So this is, I'm very interested with the group of people that we have here, very interested with the self-initiative and the description of that we are all doers. So it's a matter of if you do it yourself as a collective effort will happen and will create miracles. Just to perhaps mention about the JSF in specific. JSF is an initiative by the private sector. It was created in 2012 as an NGO, non-profit organization, to be as a think tank that create a platform across the private sector, the government, and the civil society in order to tackle certain economic and social issues that faces Jordan and find together solutions for these obstacles and issues. Let me stop here, otherwise I will take the whole time, and I'm more than happy to answer any question. Rana, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for giving us a comprehensive yet succinct overview of the position of Jordan in terms of sustainable development goals, of course, in light of the pandemic, and touching upon the landscape of social entrepreneurship in Jordan. Well, over to you, Amir. So Nisreen gave us the overview. You're younger than both of us, at least. I don't know about the people in the audience. So I'm interested to hear from you, your perspective of what Nisreen has described, right? Because people sit in different places in the ecosystem. So from your perspective, what do you have to comment, to add, to critique, to clarify, to showcase but more what Nisreen just described about where Jordan is in relevant to the SDGs, and what are we doing?
Interesting. So there are many points to discuss. So trying to sew between the various thoughts and ideas in regards to the SDGs, what can we do here in Jordan? And I'm looking at the names of participants, and I'm assuming that we have many people in the region as well, and even internationally. So I think what I'd like to do is more of like storytelling rather than like pinpointing, here are problems, here are gaps, this is what we can do. Because I've learned that, passion will really get you somewhere far, right? But it can get you the furthest if we collaborate. And the last thing that Her Excellency Nisreen was mentioning at JSF is getting various stakeholders together on the same table, from the private sector and the public sector. And I think this is what I'd like to tap onto in terms of what at least we're doing here at Tadammun. So what I was thinking is I was reflecting upon the title, Jordan Ecosystem Gaps and Solutions. And then I started to think, instead of, let's say, identifying each gap and trying to brainstorm solutions, our journey at Tadammun actually very beautifully addresses the title. The co-founders and I, we saw many gaps in the Jordan ecosystem. And when we say social enterprise, I want to probably micro into the NGO world, the humanitarian field. And what we've done is we've literally addressed the problems that we are facing. So before I begin, I just would like to encourage everyone to kind of ponder around the thought of keep your eye out on the various problems that are there. Try your best not to get demotivated and saddened. Rather, try to look at those very small opportunities, a little light at the end of the tunnel to go, to go forward. And I think each one of us can ponder around, either an initiative or a story where we have done that. So here at Tadaman, what we have done was actually quite that. The co-founders and I, we had pain points as people wanting to give back to society to enhance Jordan specifically. Inshallah, Tadaman will be going in the region. We're thinking 3 countries from here to next year, although we just started 3 months ago. And we actually combined our strengths. And I think if there's anything that we need to keep in mind, it's how do we collaborate with one another rather than compete with one another? And at least let me speak in terms of Arabs, we like competition, but I don't think that's getting us anywhere far. And excuse me for being straightforward and blunt. I love to be straightforward. I don't like going around the bush. We all know that, the elephant's in the room, but we try to hide as much as we can. So I'm going to kind of bring the elephant back. So having said that, my co-founders have great experience over 2 decades in technology and building e-commerce. Samih Touqan and Hussam Khouri, they had great companies, Maktoob, which was acquired by Yahoo, and Soup, which was acquired by Amazon. So they wanted to bring technology into the humanitarian field. So I have, let's say, over a decade in various NGOs, being national, regional, international. So we actually combined the pain points that we were facing and created a solution, which is Tadaman. Now, if I was to identify the gaps as suggested in the title, there are many, okay? And of the ones that we have addressed, what's very interesting is that we continue to find different gaps. And what's nice is that we're continuously evolving. Just last week, we had another gap and we ended up solving that with another solution. So one of the gaps that we faced, but maybe before that, what we do at Tadaman is we verify the charity cases of those who need help, and which fall under many of the SDGs. And once the case is verified, it's live on our application, on our platform, and we start crowdfunding. So in a nutshell, that's what we do. But in terms of identifying gaps and providing solutions, one thing that we were thinking about was, why do we have all these individuals posting various charity cases on different platforms? You'll see something on Facebook or Instagram. You probably get a WhatsApp message or a fax or a phone call, and it's just fragmented. It's too much of distraction, especially in the technological world that we're living in today. So we've organized all of this on one single platform, which is our mobile application, Arabic, English, Android, and Apple. And right now we reflected everything up on the website. But to have all of this on one platform would probably ease the sense of giving. Secondly, is we've realized that these cases are not necessarily verified. So our humanitarian side kicks in. I want to help. And you're just going to start throwing money. But has the case been verified? And we realized that a lot of these cases aren't verified. Unfortunately, you have other people that kind of take a chance of this opportunity, to try to, let's say, benefit on behalf of someone else's sadness. So what we've done is we also verified all of the cases. And not just that, we are including people from society. These are individuals that want to do good. They don't know where to go. They're called our community contributors, Mushraf al-Hala. And they're the ones who are actually verifying the cases. A lot of them have passion. They don't know where to go. And a lot of them have a lot of experience, and we're even learning from them. But these community contributors are the ones who are verifying the cases. And for each case that's on our platform, you actually know who the person is that verified the case. So now we're giving it this level of credibility. Moreover, we always hear of campaigns, help an orphan for $100, or, put food on the table for $300. This is also a pain point that we were facing. No, we need the details. Where is this $100 going? Where is this $300 going? So we provided a full breakdown of basically where every dollar is going, what exactly is requested. A full breakdown is there. And there's another problem, and I think it might be global, but there isn't full transparency of where the donations are going. At Tadaman, 100% of your donation goes to the beneficiary. We cover all overheads. So this is actually encouraging the concept of people wanting to donate, because now we are clear of where the money is going and the donations 100% reach the beneficiaries. Another challenge we were facing, and this is all as we're coming, is when we wanted to launch and we wanted to integrate with the payment gateways, we realized that, oops, there are no regulations that actually go around online donations. So there goes another 9 months of us going back and forth with the different ministries to try to understand why can't we have online donations, right? The whole vision of the country is to digitize, and His Majesty mentions over and over that we want to digitize, but we can't have online donations. So there goes another 9 months of, I don't want to say challenging or discussing with the ministries and with the different stakeholders, rather literally educating one another. Why don't we have online donations? What is it that we can do in order to have online donations? So one of the solutions that we've done is we actually have an official agreement with the Jordanian Ministry of Social Development, and this regulates the online donations that we have. So as you can see, every pain point that we're facing, thankfully, we are coming up with solutions for the journey, let's say, of both the beneficiary and the donor. And I'm probably talking a lot about Tadamun, and I'm doing this because the title, once again, right, the gaps and the solutions. And I really feel this is, if I can use my business hat, it's a perfect product market fit, basically, which is addressing all of these pain points and providing solutions to them. As the days went by, we've realized that in the past 3 months, we have closed many of the cases, and our donors now need to be updated. So we started providing them with many updates, and now we're keeping them more engaged, where your dollar is going, how has it been spent, etc. And then we started thinking a bit more holistically. A lot of people wanted to get now involved in what we've done. So thankfully, we have collaborated with other NGOs here in Jordan. So now we will be the technology platform for these NGOs, big and old NGOs that have been here for many years, small NGOs that are just starting up, to actually be this platform for them to place their cases on our platform, and we crowdfund on their behalf. Because as you all know, it's all about online donations, making it quick and easy, online payments. So we are here now to, once again, as I mentioned at the beginning, not compete with other NGOs, but collaborate with other NGOs. And on this point, sorry, I saw that you unmuted, Dr. Rana. Do you have something to jump in?
No, go ahead. I was going to build on your point, but please finish
Okay.
sorry.
No, it's all right. And the thing is, it was about complementing one another. And we had to ensure at Tadama that we positioned ourselves very well to inform these other NGOs. It's not about the competition, it's about collaboration. So if there's one problem or gap that we have in Jordan, I would say another segment is communication. We really are not communicating clearly, directly. It's always beating around the bush, etc. So we position ourselves very well. We are here to empower charity cases in Jordan. If that's going to be verified by an individual, the community contributor, or by the organization, we are here to enhance, once again, the beneficiary's self-being, which falls under various parts of the SDGs, by crowdfunding and verifying basically their cases. Thankfully, we have also partnered with many private hospitals here in Jordan. So this is something that happened a few weeks ago. We've realized that we have a lot of medical cases on our platform. So not only will we have a collaboration with the best private hospitals here in Jordan, but we will have the beneficiary be treated at these private hospitals. So if you think about it, dignity, and you mentioned this, Dr. Rana, at the beginning, me being country chair of Jordan for Global Dignity, dignity is involved here. We're not going to treat these beneficiaries at just regular clinics or hospitals, but the best hospitals here in Jordan, in order to actually enhance their well-being and let them have a treatment full of dignity. So in conclusion, I would say that it's not about collaboration. Unfortunately, a lot of us in the Middle East probably think this way. It's always about competition, that we would want to compete with one another. Rather, it should be more about collaboration. What strength do you have that I don't have? How can I empower you? And through our collaboration, how is your value proposition being empowered and being enhanced? So in a nutshell, in a quick, maybe 10 minutes, that is the journey of the gaps that we have in Jordan, specifically in my perspective of the NGOs that I'm involved in, and the potential solutions and the actual solutions that we have put into place to enhance the overall ecosystem here in Jordan to eventually empower the SDGs that are being conducted here.
Thank you, Amir, for giving us your perspective and what you're doing on the ground in Jordan. And actually, you made me think. I've met with many people. I'm myself a professor at the university. So, and of course, I want to welcome, there are so many students here today with us. So, ahlan wa sahlan with all the students, because they're the most important people. They are going to build the country in the future. So we're very glad that so many students are with us today. But listening to the students on the ground and what they talk about during COVID, what people have done in response to COVID, so much good has come out as well as challenges. But I want to focus on the good and the positive and being the optimist I am. The thing is, what I hear is that so many people have created their own initiatives, done their things from very small but very important, taking care of my neighbor, to bigger and broader as what you are doing in others. What I see as a gap in this context is that we don't know about each other. And hence this, what you mentioned, lack of communication, lack of showcasing the success stories, one, and we always showcase the negative, and we're always like, the world is coming to pieces and everything is wrong. We don't talk about the positive. And when the media always loves to celebrate the negative, but we need to have a voice. Talk about the positive stories, and slowly that becomes the narrative, and people will talk about it. And then if they are not that kind of person, they will become so, because that's the narrative that everybody's talking about. So to me, it's about showcasing those stories, storytelling, and therefore communicating those stories and feeling proud of talking about what you're doing. Sometimes we don't talk about what we do because this is part of our culture. No, let's talk about what we do. Let's be proud to share what we're doing, so that others can become jealous in a good way. There's a verse, وَفِي ذَلِكَ فَلْيَتَنَافَسِ الْمُتَنَافِسُونَ, and let's compete who can do more good, who can do better, and create a positive kind of feedback loop rather than a negative feedback loop. So that's, to me, one of the gaps, because yes, you are giving us the solutions, but each of these solutions are siloed. How do we, so as a result of this silo of solutions, we have redundancy, and we see it. And I'm sure Nasreen can comment from a government perspective that how much we have redundancy. Funding comes in, and I don't think funding is the biggest problem. It's important, but it's not the biggest challenge. Redundancy, lack of communications. I don't know what you're doing, so I do my own thing, and the other person does their own thing. And again, my initiative, our program, We Love Reading, we do a lot about education, informal education, but then we found somebody else has done something similar and somebody else has done something similar, and we don't talk about it. We don't complement each other's work so that we could go build forward and create a collective strategy that will result in impact, not just bandages, right? What we want is a strategic plan so that we can create systems change. We want to change the whole system. And by doing that, we need to address the root causes to prevent the redundancy and learn from each other, right? Maybe I'm doing something, but you're doing something better. How can I learn from you? How can you learn from me? So to me, all these points, communication, learning from each other, strategy, impact, this is about creating an ecosystem to support creating all this. How do we do that, right? And we have been in conversations with both of you, trying to create a nucleus to build such an ecosystem, to address some of these challenges that we are facing, and maybe we're learning from others as we create this ecosystem. How do we collaborate? How do we talk to each other? How do we provide this enabling environment to invite people to be vulnerable, to talk about their mistakes and their errors, and how we can learn from each other so we can move forward. So Nasreen, I would love you to comment on when we first met and we talked about creating such a let's say a nucleus of a network that will create ultimately an ecosystem to enable change. Could you share with us your thoughts about this, how you felt about it, what do you think about it, coming from your perspective of government and private sector and civic society?
Thank you, Rana. First, I would like to say that commenting on Amir's two and actually very important 3 points. When Amir mentioned compete and collaborate, usually I say it's a competition where I compete and collaborate. But then Amir said communicate. Now I have the 3 C's where I need to find the proper word to fit these 3 very, very, very critical things that we are in need, Amir, absolutely. And I think what you have mentioned, Rana, breaking silos and creating a system for change is really what we are in need. If we look at the government side, within the government entities, there are silos. So you will find today now even different public entities, they don't talk to each other, where it creates duplication, where it creates, when funding goes to the different entities in silos. So it doesn't, they don't communicate with each other. But also when we look at the private sector, we see that there is a fierce competition, but is there a co-opetition where they have a competition and collaboration? And this is where all of us benefit and the pie become bigger for everyone. I think a platform like JSF was meant to be for that purpose, where we are all competing, but we are collaborating on different things for the sake of everyone. That what actually moved, or yani, it was a stimulator, if you like, for us, the three of us, Rana, you, Amir, also Amani, is to start by thinking, okay, we love Jordan, and we see that it can be the best country. What can we do? How can we work on improving whatever thing which we see that is not really going well? And we think we can do the change. It's a matter of changing this, the system to have an enabling ecosystem, if you like, trying to achieve an enabling ecosystem for the youth, enabling ecosystem for the gender, for the disability, for everyone to contribute. That what will make Jordan actually not only prosper but flourish as well. So we started that actually when we started our thinking, we thought that having frames, having procedures, having preset things sometimes limit our thinking, limit our potential, and limits our dreams and our abilities to do the change. So we were thinking of creating this ecosystem as a platform where it gathers similar people in terms of what they believe in and what they can do and change, so that we think together. When we face problems, there is this platform where we can learn from each other, where we can support each other, but at the same time, we can create, it's a nucleus, as you said, where we can create various nucleus, I would say a cluster of a nucleus to do this wave of change. This is what we need. We need really a wave of change to move and be better. I think if whatever policies the government would do, if there is no will and interest and care, I would say, at the individual level, then I wouldn't see that we will be able to achieve what we aspire to achieve. So I would say we've been sitting together thinking. We are still at the early stage of how to move forward. We've been able at least to agree on what the similar cross cutting and common grounds that we will start from. And we agreed on certain values that we share, all of us together. Integrity, being humble, teamwork. So if there is another word to add, is teamwork again, and to be honest and transparent. Which is we are missing maybe in the Arab world, I would say. We try always to go around facts, or maybe trying to make it create, how would you say, trying to تلمعي بعض الحقائق أو تزوقيها in order not to have a direct contact or a direct with the challenge in order to avoid a direct facing for the challenge and the solutions for it. So yeah, we've been in the thinking of trying to create more or have more people around us, but also to think to leave the space for each one of us to go on her or his own space and try to create this change. And then perhaps go back to this comfort zone of reflection, learning, and perhaps thinking strategically way forward. So yeah, this is over to you, Rana.
Thank you. Thank you for describing how this nucleus of creating an ecosystem in Jordan has come to be. And I want to add, it's been a discussion, because sometimes I think in order to create change, we need to throw away old frameworks and come up with new frameworks in order to create a paradigm shift. And it could be as simple as just changing where we are positioned in this ecosystem to come up with a whole new framework. And it's about having the courage to be bold and to challenge the status quo, one. Two, to have the belief that this is possible, to have the wide imagination to say this can happen, and then to actually go and do it. And to me, that's the second thing that we had to actually believe in going forward. And three, to find the people who are willing to be vulnerable, to share their learnings, and not to think, oh, I have something, I don't want to share it with others, which is to your point, Nasreen, which is building trust and transparency and going forward. So to you, Amir, we came up with an acronym. We came up with a kind of a vision and a mission. If you would like to share that, because one of the things is, this is a network. And one of the learnings that has come out of COVID-19, that has come out of this global pandemic, is that the only way we can go forward is when we all work together, when we all collaborate. People are just rediscovering that every time. Although it's part of how we evolved as a species. It's about we work together. We're social animals. We need to talk to each other. We need to work to each other. We're so diverse, and that is an asset, because I'm different from you and you're different from me and everybody's different from somebody else, then everybody has something to give, and that thing is very valuable. So how do we work together to celebrate that diversity so that we can think collectively to solve the challenges that we face together? So to do this, you need a network, a fabric that you weave of all these individuals coming together to make a difference. So this has become the new thing. Catalyst 2030, that is hosting this conference, is a network of stakeholders, majorly social entrepreneurs. What we're creating in Jordan is another kind of network, and I'm sure everybody's part of different networks. So how can we learn from these different networks? How can we build upon them to create that systems change? So Amir, if you want to share with us some of your reflections on this new initiative that we are trying to create in Jordan, and some of the things we have agreed upon, and hopefully we will have some input or questions from the audience after that. Go ahead.
Perfect. So before I do that, Dr. Rana, I also want to just ponder around your previous question and what Her Excellency Nasreen was also mentioning. Like, what should we do in terms of the youth? Because you mentioned a lot of students are with us as well, and you have these silo initiatives. I would simply just say, are we sitting on the same table? As simple as that. Do I know what you're doing, and do you know what I am doing? So I think the first part is sitting on the same table, not just, as friends and to joke and to laugh and go out and have fun, but it's really to talk about our passion, talk about our initiatives, in addition to talk about the pain points and what are potential solutions. So I think getting on the same table would be a great first step. Secondly, it's agreeing to disagree. As simple as that sounds, but just agree to disagree. As long as we can ascribe to a certain set of values, and up to 70% of these values, if we can all agree to that, we're on the same page. We're on the same page. We can agree to disagree. And then the third point I can take us to is have each person lead their specialty, right? And if you have feedback to give, share that feedback, share that experience, but leave responsibility to one entity, right? So we can, I don't want to say hold them accountable, although yes, that's to a good extent what we mean, but so that they can fully own it. Because, and I'm going to talk about Jordan, maybe Arabs in general, we're trying to do multiple things all in parallel, and we fall short things here and there, but no, really delegate full responsibility and ownership to one entity, just have them run with it. And maybe that will lead me to a fourth point, and my final point on this, which is, are we giving room for failure? Are we penalizing it, or are we just, allowing it to happen? We fine tune, we iterate, and then we enhance. And we might fail a second time, which is okay. But are we iterating a second time? Are we getting closer to the real solution, right? So I think this ecosystem of failure is like a big no-no. It's I cannot do it. No, on the contrary, fail. And fail 100 times, because 101 is going to be your success. So actually that might lead me to my fifth point, which is, don't get demotivated by these failures. On the contrary, it's actually just a few steps closer to success. But I think it's that concept of iterations, right? Just continuously iterate to learn from your experiences. Do not make the same mistake twice. I'll be very clear on that point, but make 100 mistakes and just continuously learn from it. So I think in a nutshell, those are 4 or 5 points, maybe addressing your previous question. Onto what we should do and for the many university students, because like you mentioned in the introduction, Dr. Rana, I started the first NGO when I was 23, 24. I had just left from university. And to be honest, I didn't know exactly what I was doing, but I knew that I wanted to be that crazy person that changes the world, using Steve Jobs' quote. But I had to start somewhere, and I started somewhere good, and eventually we got somewhere great. So I think with time and with experience and mistakes and iterations and being more crystal clear on this North Star, eventually we will get there. So for the students that are with us, collaborate, sit on the same table, delegate specialties to the person in charge, agree to disagree, please agree to disagree. It's completely fine that you like blue and I like pink, but agree to disagree. Make mistakes in a very confined, not very confined, but in a controlled environment. And eventually, we can make miracles. So yeah, I think, Dr. Rana, that answers the first question that you had mentioned. In terms of the second part about what we're trying to do, as you mentioned, we're trying to come up with this Jordan enabling ecosystem. We got together, and even the name took us, I think, a day to kind of come up with, but we want to enable each other and the system to achieve success in this country, to make it a more pleasant place to live in. So we started thinking what would be various outputs and outcomes of this very distributed group. And in a nutshell, we were thinking that we want to have this network of individuals who share values that are capable of achieving change. We want to create this enabling ecosystem to provide a rich ground for ideas and approaches to create tangible change here in Jordan. And this is going to happen by the traits that were mentioned by Ms. Nasreen as well. We have to be humble, we have to be ethical workers, we have to have integrity, we have to be honest and transparent, teamwork as well. But also we want a safe space to reflect. And I think this is important. And Dr. Rana, since you said you have a lot of students, I want to mention this as well. Are we reflecting once a week? I don't even want to say daily. I try to at least get it 3 times a day, but are we at least reflecting once a week? Are we getting off our phones, getting off of technology, getting away from our friends and family, and just really reflecting, contemplating, rethinking, reassessing, in terms of various things? What did I do great this week? What did I do that wasn't so great? What are some pain points in Jordan, and how can I solve that? How can I enhance myself, etc.? So this Jordan enabling ecosystem is kind of like a safe space for all of us to actually reflect and to also share our thoughts. So in a nutshell, we're trying to come up with this in order to, and by the way, there are no, let's say, deliverables or homework or milestones that we have to achieve. On the contrary, it's a group of individuals that want to support one another in order to share these ideas in a safe zone to make tangible change. As mentioned, it's still in the relatively early phases, yet we will be finalizing it hopefully maybe within a month or two, inviting everyone to join. Maybe we can share that through Ziad, through the list of attendees that are with us as well, and we would invite everyone to join. so we can agree to disagree.
Thank you, Amir, for first of all highlighting what is different about this new network, about this initiative, in the many points, whether it's the celebrating the failure, having a safe space to discuss, where there's no pressure to deliver. Every person works at their own pace, in their own time, but they can come and learn and share and get advice and be mentored. And that's how we build that trust that we so much need. And I envision that this network that we are creating here will not just benefit Jordan, but it can become an exemplar, a success story for other countries around the world to learn from it and create their own network. And then we can all work together and learn from each other going forward. And to me, most of the time, we always take our learnings from other countries, quote unquote, more developed countries. But these are opportunities. And this is what the world has shown us post-COVID, that there are so much that we have, so much richness, so much knowledge and learnings and experiences that we can not just solve our own problems, but actually share it with the world from our own experiences. And this is very important to showcase, and not for everyone, not just the young people, but even the old people, to reclaim that feeling of dignity, that feeling that I'm important, I have something to give. And that gives us a sense of satisfaction, a sense of happiness, and a sense of, changing the world. And ultimately, this will all help us really achieve those sustainable development goals, from poverty to education, to equality, to economy, to biodiversity, and all the 17. And this is important to keep remembering, that everyone is unique. Every person is unique. So now
and
we
Dr.
have,
Rana, I'm going to jump in. I'll jump in on that, because once again, you mentioned a lot of university students on board, because if we really want to achieve the SDGs, we should not wait for big entities and international NGOs and presidents and CEOs to make the change. Literally, it starts with you. And I'll add a TH to that. It starts with the youth. And if you have this crazy idea, get out there and try, fail 100 times, and 101 you're going to make it happen. And eventually this small initiative could lead to the next regional NGO. So I would say, yes, we need to encourage failure into within a kind of regulated ecosystem. And like you mentioned the keyword earlier, mentorship, right? So it's completely fine as well for the youth to get around those who have a bit more knowledge to be mentored and to actually learn, quick ways to get through. But definitely experiment as much as you can. Any pain point you face as the youth, think of a solution and give it a try.
Absolutely. Great advice. Nisreen, I want to give you the floor to end with recommendations, advice to our audience, to everyone who will be listening to us later.
I would say, thank you, Rana. I would say that failure is an experience. So if you failed 10 times, then you have 10 experiences. So look at it from that perspective. It's not really discouraging, but rather a learning cycle, which you've did it yourself. I would say that all of us, and the youth in specific, they need to believe in themselves. To start with, believe that they can do miracles, and because they can do miracles. And actually, if we learned something from the pandemic, we learned that we can find solution locally. So maybe we've been affected globally, but each country was able to go back and reflect and find solutions locally. So if we want to change, we have to first believe in ourselves, look around, think together, and find the solutions. The solutions, the more they are local, the more they are proper solutions that they are tackling and hitting the ground for the real system change that you are talking about, Rana. So I would say to the students, you are the one, you are the hope. And you can do miracles if you see it's a matter of just believe in what you can do and talk to each other, work with each other, and create that change that we all are looking for.
Thank you, Nasreen. That reminds me of I'm a scientist, the chaos theory in physics, which states that when a butterfly flutters its wings, it moves the air a centimeter. There's a hurricane in time and space beyond what we can imagine, and that's from our culture, by the way. In Arabic, لا تحقرن من المعروف شيئا. Do not belittle any little act of good. It will eventually become something. So nothing is impossible. And in this context, I want to invite you to attend the session right after this. It's the awards ceremony, the Catalyst Award ceremony. And actually, there's a surprise for Jordan there. So please go attend. It's celebrating. I'm not going to give out any more. So please attend. There are good stories all around us. Let's talk about them. Let's share them. I want you to go home out of this session with something tangible to do. So as Amir said, think of something that bothers you and go think, what can you do as one individual? Don't think of changing the world. Think of what you can do within yourself and your little community. And that's how you change the world. And if somebody tells you you're just a drop in the water, tell them, but what is the ocean? But millions and millions of drops. So trust yourself, believe in yourself. And as Nasreen said, nothing is impossible.
And I'll add to that, go ahead, before you last but not least.
No, I was just going to say, we invite you to become members of Catalyst 2030, to join this network of wonderful and amazing people who are making change. And you learn so much because you exchange ideas and thoughts. And I go over to you, Amir, before I thank my team. Please go
Perfect.
ahead.
And maybe Ziad, in the meantime, if you could share that link for the upcoming session to make it easier for us to join, it would be great as well, since we have about 39 participants.
Yes.
But when you mentioned the drop, Dr. Rana, I was also thinking of the quote, which is, if you have that same drop of water that's constantly and slowly dropping on asphalt on a street, eventually it cracks. And that's just one soft drop of water. So be that drop of water, the constant, continuous, soft-spoken change, and you will crack the asphalt in the road and create your own path. So definitely.
Amazing. A great way to end this session. We look forward to seeing you all in the next session, but later, to join the Jordan team, to join Catalyst 2030 globally, and to be part of this wave of change that will change the world for the betterment of humanity and future generations. Thank you for my team, for all the Catalyst and We Love Reading team, and thank you for my panelists, Nasreen and Amir, for being here, and thank you for the audience for coming and joining, and we hope to keep the conversation rolling, because you are what matter and you are important, and we can only work when we're all working together. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rana. And congratulations. I know that has been quite hard and very hectic, but really congratulations for everything.
Thank you very much. And the best of luck to everyone, and the best of luck, Dr. Rana. I saw that your schedule is quite busy, back-to-back